While the everything-proof Xperia Z is undoubtedly Sony's flagship this year, early 2013 has seen a couple of other models introduced in its shadow. Here we're taking a look at the Xperia SP, a so-called mid-range Android handset which substantially outspecs the Xperia L, the other new Sony smartphone aimed at the lower end of the market. The design of the SP isn't game-changing. In fact, it's fairly clean and simple, with no physical buttons on the face and just a small Xperia logo in the centre of the removable back panel. There are a couple of premium touches, however. The camera on the back has a raised metal rim around it to ward off scratches, the power key is made of machined aluminum, and the rim that wraps all sides of the device is also aluminum. Its rounded back and general dimensions make it comfortable to hold, although the power key will graze at your forefinger occasionally. It's heavier than most of its peers, but the weight is reassuring and highlights the sturdy build quality. Sony's choice of name for the SP would lead you to think it's similar to the Xperia S and Xperia P of 2012. While the SP is vastly different, the see-through bit of plastic that defined those 2012 handsets, also known as the transparent element, makes a comeback on the SP. It adds a nice playful touch to an otherwise simple design, and it can shine in a variety of colours when you receive a notification or when the battery's running low. It'll also pulse in time to your ringtone and glow solid so everyone knows you're on a call. It'll do a couple of other things that are fairly useless but charming nonetheless, like throb in time with the music that you're playing. On the front of the device you're looking at a 4.6-inch TFT LCD display at 720p resolution. Colours are vibrant and you can further increase the contrast while watching videos using the Mobile Bravia 2 engine setting. Being a high-def display, you get a lovely amount of detail while watching or playing things, but in various other areas it falls short. Blacks are off, viewing angles aren't great, and outdoors it's not the brightness that lets it down, but the amount of glare coming back at you. The Gorilla Glass panel that covers it also has a strange love of grime, and gets mucky very easily. Sony's Android skin takes full advantage of the resolution, and is one of the lighter skins you'll find. Behind that UX is Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean. Not the latest version, but close enough that you're not missing out on much. Setting up your perfect home screen and managing apps and widgets is done easily, without any unnecessary steps. Given the lack of physical buttons on the SP, there are soft keys in their place that stay on the screen most of the time. They can get in the way occasionally, and we found we often hit them by accident when playing games. Unfortunately, the handset ships with a ton of bloatware. You'll end up using a lot of it. Google services are baked in, for example, but there's just as much we'd like to be able to uninstall. The SP has a bunch of advanced software settings you won't find on phones without the Sony logo, including the Mobile Bravia engine we already talked about, the stamina mode for eking out battery life, and others like Clear Audio Plus to make music a little crisper. Something you won't find on any other phone just yet, but will be coming to other Xperia handsets in the future, is PlayStation controller support. You can hook up a DualShock 3 controller by adding an extra cable onto the pad's charging lead, and then when it's plugged in, instantly pair the phone with the controller via Bluetooth. It didn't work flawlessly in all games, but in some, like GTA, it worked great. Camera-wise, you've only got a VGA shooter up front for selfies and video chat, but it does the job. The main camera is an 8-megapixel affair with Sony's Exmor RS sensor. It's a solid all-rounder with loads of settings to tweak and a good auto mode which will take the hassle out of trying to get everything right yourself. There's an HDR setting for high contrast shots, and low light performance is very good for both stills and video. Video recording at 1080p is satisfactory in general, and the well thought out camera app makes navigating the settings and modes simple. Now on to the best bit, performance. It's got a dual-core 1.7GHz Snapdragon S4 Pro with Adreno 320 GPU, 1GB of RAM and 8GB of internal storage. You'll fill that up pretty quickly, but luckily the phone's got a microSD slot under the back panel for topping it up. The handset runs really smoothly, gaming performance is hard to fault, and internet browsing is slick on both mobile and desktop sites. There's nothing more to say on that front really. Putting the SP through its paces has led us to the conclusion that this isn't really a mid-range device. If anything, it's a flagship from 2012, and the user experience is something we can't praise the SP enough for. One thing that's a real problem, however, is Wi-Fi reception. The range is truly terrible, but we don't imagine it's a problem with the antenna, so hopefully this can be addressed in a future software update. Although we weren't able to test out speeds, 2 of the 3 SP variants support LTE. Keeping the whole show running is a sizable but non-removable 2370 mAh battery. It will withstand a solid day of punishment, and with moderate use you should get from one morning to the following evening without needing a recharge. No US carriers have announced the Xperia SP will be joining their lineups just yet, but here in the UK it's had interest from all major networks. Currently it's available for free from as little as £20.50 per month, or £250, around $385 on pay-as-you-go. If you want to pick one up on 4G operator EE, it will cost £26 per month with no upfront fee. Comparatively, HTC's One SV, a solid budget Android handset with an LTE radio, is £36 per month, making the SP a seriously compelling offer. Although it's got some flaws, you're getting a hell of a lot for your money, and you won't be disappointed with a solid if plain design that's backed up by some pretty beefy internals. That brings us to the end of our brief tour of the Xperia SP. This has been Jamie with Engadget, and make sure to check out our full review of the SP at engadget.com.